'cause that's where I grew up in Nevada. And I remember one time I went out with the Sierra Club group. There was like two men I was with, and we had to go to the central part of Nevada, an area called Eureka in Austin, and went up a valley because they wanted to go to a cave. They said they wanted to climb down into in the flats, and there were two mountains running kind of north and south, maybe about 5 miles long. So there's a valley there, very isolated, just a dirt road. Anyway, we arrived there in the evening and we found this old farmhouse abandoned, kind of torn up. They decided to go inside and clean it up a bit and make a camp in there rather than put a tent up. So it was around 8 o'clock at night time we finished, and I was sitting there and these guys were talking in another part of this cabin, and I was hearing this sound that sounded like a high-pitched humming radio sound noise way off in the distance from the north. But it got louder and louder and louder, and then the cabin walls started shaking and vibrating. So I grabbed my 38 pistol and I was going to go outside to get it, but I asked those guys to come with me and they wouldn't do it. They were afraid. They were scared. Well, I was going to not go out there alone, even though if I had a firearm with me. And this thing was right over the top of us, vibrating the house. And I said, let's go out and see what, because I knew it was something not right. It wasn't a helicopter, not an airplane. And anyway, so they wouldn't do it. And the thing passed over and you can hear it going by slow. Must have been about 500, maybe 1,000 feet off the ground at the most. And then it kind of just went, and it disappeared. So the next morning early, we got up around sunrise, and I went outside to look around to see if anything landed, and I couldn't find anything. And I always wondered what that sound was, because Nevada is very isolated and desolate desert, and we were in a place where no airplane traffic, no kind of air traffic would ever be. And that wasn't in the air, so I wish I would have ran out, but being 16 and I had grown men with me, and the grown men were afraid. I'm thinking, well, if they're afraid, I'm afraid. I mean, because they won't come out with me. But things like that happen. And then when I was about 17, I went camping in June up in the Sierra Nevadas up above Reno, hiked for 3 days. My dad took us up to the base line and we got out and hiked. But a freak snowstorm hit us. And we got caught in a freak snowstorm around 8,000, 9,000 feet. And it started blizzarding. And we were miles away from every place. So first night we made camp and there was something around our tent. And I had a flashlight. Well, I carry my firearms with me when I go out. I don't like going any place without having a pistol at least or a rifle. Just in case something happens, like I see a Martian or something, I can shoot it. Because that's what I was thinking. Shoot aliens because I don't trust them. So I always carry a small 38, which is not that powerful because you probably couldn't kill an alien with a 38 caliber pistol. So, and when I gave my friend a 22 pistol, long barrel, long bullets to carry too. So at least we had two guns. Anyway, so the next day we got in this blizzard and we kept going up, and I got over a ridge and down, and I said, let's make camp. So we started to make camp in a lean-to we made out of parachute and tent. And so about 11 o'clock at night, maybe it might have been 12, I hear something outside because we're in a real bad blizzard, and I hear footsteps walking around, it sounded like. So I'm laying on my back, and I'm laying on the left side. There's a guy on my middle and his brother on the other side. And I woke them up. I said, "You hear that?" So they were listening. And then the guy in the middle happened to have the pistol, opens the door up real quick, shines his flashlight up there. He sees something. He starts firing away at it with the 22. He can't kill anything with the 22. Anyway, so he pops his head back in, and I'm laying there. And from that area, because it's pitch black at midnight in a blizzard in Mount Rose, 20 miles from nowheres. I mean, we're in the middle of no place. There was a ball of white light about the size of a softball or maybe a cantaloupe, and it floated from that area where he fired, and you can see it through the tent, the roof of it, and kept on going. So while I seen it going, I took my pistol out and I was following it because if it came closer, I was going to fire at it. My pistol only holds 5 shots, so I only had 5 bullets to shoot it. But I didn't shoot it because it took off and it kind of went away and then disappeared. Well, the next morning I was going around looking around the site to see if I could find any evidence of something, footprints or anything. Couldn't find anything. And I always wondered what that was. A ball of white light in a blizzard at midnight, pitch black, coming from an area where we just fired bullets at and flying over the tent. So that's another mystery. Things like that I've seen. And then one time, my mother and father went out to a place called Star Peak in the middle of Nevada deer hunting. And we used to go out, early 3 o'clock in the morning. So we get there in the morning, we drive up in this place. It's the only road on the map in the area. There was no other cars on that road. We reached the end of the road. They parked there, so my parents stayed there. But I kept walking up the ravine looking for deer, and I got up on a flat plateau. Now this mountain's about 9,000 feet, Star Peak. So we weren't climbing up there. I was just going up there deer hunting. So I get up on this ridge, and I'm looking around. I'm walking around. Then I hear a bunch of birds. Oh, I turned my back to the north, and I was looking south. And I sat down and I got up a cigarette to smoke. So I'm smoking a cigarette and I hear all these birds behind me rattling and making a lot of noise. So I put the cigarette out and I looked around and I can see where the birds were around this tree. So I walked towards that. Then I noticed in a tree something standing in there. It looked about 8 or 9 feet, at least 8 feet high or 7. It was a person. And it had a kind of a blue, like a baby blue suit, but a blue suit on. And I can see a helmet. So I see that. I think I was 16 or 17 then again. But I had a long rifle with me, a 270, 110 grain bullet. I like 270s because you can shoot it quite a ways, and they're good rifles to have. So I loaded my chamber up and I put the bullet in there and I was going to shoot at it on the side to scare it off. And all of a sudden in my mind, there was something that came in my mind that said, don't shoot. And I kind of paused and I thought, okay, I'll shoot at it. And then I thought, I heard in my mind, don't shoot, because if I shot at it, it would shoot back at me. And I thought, would you shoot a ray gun at me? So I looked at it and I backed up real slowly, walking backwards. I'm holding my rifle because as soon as I see it moving, I'm going to start firing away at it, because I always carry 20 shells in my pocket and this rifle, so I had enough armament to shoot at it. And I kept on backing up, and I got just over the ridge out of sight of it, and I turned around, I took off, and I put the rifle over my shoulder, and I ran down the hill as fast as I can. Then I stopped, took aim again to see if anything is coming at me, and start firing at it. Then I ran it down again and took aim again, and then I see my parents' truck. That's when I start slowing down and stop running and start walking fast. But what happened was I was sitting on the rock and I hear the car horn beep way off in the distance and barely heard it. That's a signal to come back. So that's the reason why I also ran back. But right at that same time, I saw this thing standing in a tree. And I always thought I should have shot at it to see if I could have scared it out of there, because then I would have known for sure what it was. Or I should have just fired directly at it to see what it was and hit it and then go over and investigate. But when you're 16 years old and you're all by yourself in the middle of that, you kind of want to be cautious. It's like not being scared, but something told me if that was an alien and I shot at it, it probably would shoot right back at me with whatever weapon it had. So I decided not to shoot at it, to scare it away. So that was another weird thing that happened one time in my life. I've always wondered about these strange things that happen, And then there's spirits, ghosts and stuff that are.
Well, we'll do that on another one. Thank you, Renee. We'll do this again. Fireside. Lodge stories.
Fireside stories.
Yeah.
When you're 16 years old, man.
Yeah, we're moving up from 16. Now
I'm
we're going
78 now, so I still remember those.
So we got a long ways to go in the stories.